Hello everyone, my name is Palash and I have recorded for you guys some grammar lessons for VARC 1000 program. In this video, I'm just going to share upon what is the lesson plan and what are the do's and don'ts that you should follow upon watching these videos. So in today's video, I've recorded up four segments that we'll discuss quickly upon what are the types of grammar, what are the errors of grammar that examinations focus upon, the areas where they want you to prepare, and how is the grammar that is taught in school different from what is asked in our competitive exams. The key topics that I will be sharing, the highlights of some 8 topics that I've picked up, which I've seen and analyzed that your all our competitive exams, the non-CAT exams focus upon, and then in general where we can practice, what are the sources that we can practice from, and how to improve grammar in general. So there's a very interesting grammar game as well that I'll recommend after in towards the end of the video. So do watch it. I think without much ado, let's get started with the video. You would have ever wondered that why is it important to prepare grammar with respect to our competitive exams when majority of the grammar is done in our schools, and we know a certain knack of grammar in our daily conversational life as well, but unfortunately there are areas where we have less knowledge of, let me put it this way, and we do not know how to speak formally or how to write formally. So in formal written English, there are certain grammar syntax which differ from vocational English, and that is what we need to cover, and that is what my agenda towards these lessons is to you, that these lessons will cover up that bridging that you need to be aware of those topics and subtopics where these competitive exams frame their questions around. So grammar is of major 5 types. In some cruder sense, in a very depth, there are of 9 types as well, and we include the comparatives and non-comparative and colloquial grammars as well. But this is the major 5 classifications of the grammar: the formative grammar, the mental or the formative grammar, the vocational or the etiquettes grammar, the prescriptive or the functional grammar, the descriptive and the analytical grammar, and then we have generative or formulaic grammar. Now, every grammar is different because the variation occurs because of the varied use of it and the objective and the aim of it. For example, the basic or the formative grammar is something that clears our basic understanding of any language for that matter, not only for English. The mind automatically acquires this because we're surrounded by uh, non-native people who speak English, and then we adapt accordingly. So this is something that our mental universal grammar of any language that we pick up or we acquire. Then we are taught certain vocational grammar, which deals with mannerisms of the language in standard fifth to in eighth in early years, like thank you, please, exclamative marks, and so on and so forth. Oh, alas, all these expressions, all mannerisms. Prescriptive grammar comes next, where the focus is about making you understand the transformational grammar for the non-native speakers. This is generally standard 9th to standard 12th, where we understand the basic functionality of it. We understand the role of how sentence clusters, we transform them into sentences, assertive to negative, and then using conjunctions, and many other ways, the synthesis of sentences, the transformation of sentences, a basic sense of prepositions, or is all what we learn under the prescriptive grammar. Then sometimes also, because we write we use grammar in terms of our essays and letters and everything else. So we have a sense of descriptive writing, not formally, but yes, with respect to the schools, we do it. So, which is used for formal writings, and it writers for the native speakers. However, if you follow a grammar in terms of your graduation and post graduation, this is the area where they tell you a lot. But in schools, certain areas overlap through it. So we know a cruder sense of how to write formally as an essay. Then we have generative and formulaic grammar, the last one, which is the further addition and the evolution of the language itself, which your AI tools and all your other tools know about, and therefore, in competitive exams, particularly, this is the grammar that we will be targeting, and they will not be asking questions in terms of the formative or functional grammar at all. Now, having said that, let's look at also the types of number of questions in the percentage weightage which our exams used to ask. So NMAT and TISNET gives somewhere around 33% weightage. So this is a huge weightage in terms of these two exams, where 12 out of 36 questions, or bare minimum 9, so 25 to 33% is something that NMAT is going to ask you the grammar. TISNET somewhere around close to 30%, SNAP 53%, so 8, IFT, which is now cancelled, but it used to ask somewhere around 1% of grammar. And then we have ZAT, which is still less than 1%, so 0.8% of grammar is still asked. But remember, IFT and ZAT used to ask questions from multiple areas of grammar. They will, whatever topics even I will cover, they will mix up, they will shuffle up quite a bit of grammar. So ZAT is still the paper that I'm hoping that you are preparing for, and then ZAT is going to mix up topics, not going to give you very straightforward kind of a topic. So please be aware. But all other exams will give you a basic knack of, if you do these videos, if you practice certain exercise from these topics and subtopics, I believe you will be definitely adequate enough to crack 95, 96% of your questions, which is definitely going to put you above your peer group in terms of grammar. Now, what is the aim of my lesson? My aim of lessons is not to teach you entire grammar, because I've just picked up certain very important areas that I thought that competitive exams ask. So I've created the worksheets accordingly. And if you just go through the worksheet before you attend that class, it will be really helpful, because there are certain mistakes that you will make, and then the lesson plan is going to provide you a basic knack of how you can improve and what are the rules that you need to keep in mind. So I have not picked up school topics, so just keep those school topics, revise those school topics. What are the school topics I've recorded in the last video, that what are the certain 4 important school areas of school grammar that you can just practice from any book. I've even recommended certain books in my the next video, the lesson plan in the building block, that where you can go and check for the authenticity, and you can check and you can practice those grammar on. But I will not be teaching the entire grammar, but I will be just revising and brushing up certain important rules. My aim is also not to prescribe any rules, but just make you understand the formal writing rules, because these are rules that is particularly followed in British grammar and the UK grammar. So the formal writings is something that carry these rules. I'll give you an example. For example, when we talk vocationally, we'll never use an article the before a newspaper. We'll say, have you read Midday today, or did you read Times of India? But we'll never say the. But every single day, the Times of India, the Guardian, the Midday is published. So that's what I'm trying to say, that formal written English is different than vocational English. In vocational English, we omit or ignore very rules, and there is no standard of vocational. The core ethos of the sentence is to express your feelings, and therefore I think in formal writings it changes. Okay? It changes as clearly and as unambiguously we have to write, and therefore we need to mention and follow certain very important rules. Now, also, the aim is not to challenge any European or any other continent's rule, but to just teach you the UK syntax or UK structures and the formal writing rules, because if you look at the online world, there are a lot of European continent English, and there are, which is French based more or less, and there is a lot of American English prevalent these days, which is not a problem, but it becomes a very problem, because if it's a habit, you will always look for the American English, which might become a problem. So just stick to the UK syntax, and the spellings have even to the UK syntax, and then I think that will lessen your burden towards your competitive exams talking about. So the errors in grammar, if I talk about, there are 3 major kind of error. There is a word error, which can be a spelling, a wrong choice of word, or a wrongly placed used part of speech, which I've dealt in the 3rd lesson, parts of speech. Please attend that very carefully, because it's going to be the foundation block. So in the next lesson, I've recorded up a building blocks where I will be using certain terms like subject, object, predicate. I know that you've done those all in school, but still we need to brush up that what they are and know them. So words and can be errors, and then there can be an order of the sentence which can create multiple meaning or unclear meaning, ambiguous meaning. Therefore, as I said, when we talk, we do not we put more focus upon our expression and the clarity of thought that we express. But when we write, we need to clear the unambiguity that is contained in our sentence. And then there can be errors of meanings. So there can be a lot of words that you have used, so lacking using unnecessary words, redundancy, and then lacking relevant details of it. So warm is something that is a mnemonic that you can write. The words can be wrong, the order can be wrong, and then the meaning can be wrong. I've just given you one example, let's say, of this sentence: the police station was right at the bank. Now, you did not specify which kind of bank, a bank as a financial institution or a bank as a side of the river or an embankment. So it's important. I know this might sound funny, that what why will the bank, but it can be anywhere. So in while writing, you need to clear this out. Similarly, for example, look at this one. I saw a man with one leg named Peter. Prima facie, we do not find any error with this sentence, but unfortunately, it seems that the leg's name is Peter. So we should move this is a modifier error. We should move named Peter towards close to man of or the object which the modifier is trying to modify. Similarly, although nearly finished, we left the play early. Prima facie, you will not find any ambiguity in this, but it seems like that although what was finished, although we were finished. I know by common sense we understand that the play was finished, but again, as I said, while vocational English allow these kind of errors, but the written English doesn't. So these are the important areas where we need to put our focus. Now, what I have decided to put, give you knowledge upon these 8 areas. So I've recorded these 8 uh, videos, which starts with the lesson 1. Please watch them in the order that I've given, because there are certain things that I've linked up, so you will not understand them properly, though you can just watch them in a fast forward mode, or you can just jump up if you know about those topics in thoroughly, so you can jump up to the exercise and then look at how examination ask areas upon questions upon the areas that we have discussed. So in the first, I will be discussing upon the building blocks like subject, object, what is a determiner, modifier, uh, object, indirect object, then what about predicate, what about phrase, clause, what's the difference, what's the similarities between them. So I'm going to use them across the journey in my video lesson. So I think if you're clear with the basics of it, I know this is done in schools, but still it's going to be, that's the name I've chosen as a building block, because it's important. You should know the difference between ordinate clause, subordinate clause, because I will be using these jargons across very effortlessly, and you might have a problem understanding that why am I using it, or why am I giving you an explanation accordingly. So just watch the building blocks very carefully, understand what I'm trying to put as the keywords used in that video. Then the next video I've recorded as parts of speech, all the 8 parts of speech, because Snap, Disnet have asked direct questions based on parts of speech, function and functionality. What is difference I'm going to give you? See, in school, the basic orientation was we were given upon what is the definition of noun and what is the classifications of noun. Now, how is this going to be different? Because I'm not going to be interested in defining what is a noun, though I have given it. But again, we will understand how a noun functions in a sentence, and how various kind of even verbs can function as a noun, and therefore they're called as gerunds. So understand that here I'm trying to give you a descriptive kind of a grammar, where we will try to analyze more upon what's the role and the functionality of how grammar fits into sentences, and then what of them seems logically correct and which of them are functionally wrong. So it's going to be different, and therefore I want you to watch these videos sincerely. You can just 2x the mode, 1.5x the speed, and then quickly watch them. So parts of speech is another very elementary chapter that I have recorded, because I find questions directly being asked in your competitive exams, in the non-CAT exams, and then obviously it becomes the fundamentals, because modifier errors, subject-verb agreement, all depends upon the parts of speech and the role that the unique part of the verb phrase or the noun phrase is going to play. So please watch it carefully. Then I've picked up nouns and pronouns. Nouns and pronouns, why it's important? Because nouns will form nouns and pronouns will form the subjects and the objects of the sentences, and therefore it's important to know them in totality. There are certain concepts around the nouns which competitive exams have framed questions on, like gender, like number, compounded nouns ka number, and so on and so forth. So I've dealt with them, cases, number, person. So I've dealt with them in my video. Please try to watch this. It's going to be a tad long video because nouns and pronouns is going to be entirely a new concept that I've picked up. So, and I've tried to do justice to the topic dealing with the nouns and pronouns in their whole wholesomeness. So, just be careful. We watch this video and try to solve these exercises. Then adjectives and adverbs is something that I've just picked up preemptively because no competitive exams have, except for GMAT, has asked questions on adjectives and adverbs uniquely. They have asked it sandwiched between or layered between any other areas of grammar. But I am again understanding that, see, Pearson VUE, who's the conducting body for GMAT as well as is the same conducting body for NMAT, it might ask some things. So preemptively, adjectives and adverbs, I have just decided, though it's not long, I've just dealt with the position of the adverbs and the position of the adjectives, of the order of adjectives that you should follow. So please watch this. This is just a preemptive thing that if in case a couple of questions come from this area, you might be definitely doing them above your peers. The next one is about verbs and tenses. I've covered all the verbs like helping, modal verbs, auxiliary verbs, which is the helping verbs itself, the linking verbs, causative verbs, and so on and so forth, stative, dynamic, infinite, finite, gerunds, infinitives. What are they? What are verbs? Verb is very important in terms of a sentence because verb becomes the existence, verbs proves the existence of the entity, and therefore verbs are very, very important. So we will also put two other chapters of verbs. So if you understand verbs in totality, you'll understand tenses very easily, and then the most important two chapters of subject verb agreement and modifiers and parallelism, which are often asked in our competitive exam, which are very frequently asked. I mean, some 54% of questions in your NMAT, in your SNAP, are going to be only from these two areas. So do the 7th and 8th very, very carefully. They're going to be tad long videos. In subject verb agreement, I have condensed it to 21 rules of learning. I believe you should watch them very carefully and try to remember them. The entire grammar, I believe, my recommendation is that comes from practice. It's just like maths. You need to remember certain part and then you need to apply the logic towards something else and then find the correct answer towards how the sentence needs to be framed. But my advice should be that you should try to learn these grammar along with examples, because in exam you will not be able to recall the rule, but you might be easily able to recall the example. So try and focus upon the examples that I've given. If you can remember the examples, I think you will definitely be acing the test and you can easily, effortlessly move across the chapters in your exam that these areas are from or these errors are from which a specific area. So these are the 8. I think that will be all that you need to again give you an edge above your peers. 95% of your questions are going to be this from this and this alone. Now, how to improve grammar in general? As I said, I've just picked up from a smart approach that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant in a time-bound manner that you should do it. It's important because, see, these exams will definitely get you to the adequate level of grammar. So if you practice a high level, it's just a waste of time because you're going to take an immense amount of time solving those. So just be specific, relevant material only that you should solve about. Now, where can you find this? Also, this is something that I picked up from Grammarly, that do some grammar exercises because grammar is about a practice. It builds up, especially the formal writing sense. When confused or unsure, look up where to look up. Just don't Google those. I've seen a lot of people asking chat GPTs and using AI tools, which is not bad. But again, you do not know what source is it feeding. Is it the UK syntax or is it the US syntax or the Canadian syntax or the European syntax? So just make sure that when you're dealing with a lot of AI and online, just also check that it should be British English or the UK syntaxes for sure. Notice correct grammar. I think noticing grammar and learning the words of grammar, that is very, very important. Read a lot, of course, and read a lot in terms of the formative, which I'm sure that you will be doing for your CAT preparation as well. I think the last things from my end is about how to practice, where to improve. This is Career Launcher's modules of grammar. So we have picked up, if you can get a hand on Career Launcher's material of grammar, it will be really very handy if you can talk to your friends and get along with this, because we have condensed all competitive exams questions into the modules. There are round about some 14 chapters, of which each chapter has somewhere around 30 questions, so which gives you a good practice of around 420 questions, which can be really definitely very, very helpful for you at this stage. Some aspirations account topic tests are incredibly amazing, which is again Career Launchers aspiration.ai. You should practice it from, it will be, however, it will be from any area. So there is no topic specific topic test, but they are very, very thorough. And again, the competency is going to be really up-notched. Websites that you can refer in case you have confusions. So even for your AI, I think you should refer to dictionary.cambridge.org, and especially the British grammar, and then grammarly.com. Grammar is something that I prefer. Grammarly as a tool also is something that is very, very handy. It gets integrated into your browser and tells you what are the errors of your formal writing, which I'm sure that you might be also needing when you are framing your SOPs. So ChatGPT, Quillbot, Grammarly, something that you can definitely refer, but please see them for emergencies only. Try to stick to the conventional and the formative things that we have given you. And then if you have any doubts particularly, I will be ready to help you out, but you can even refer to these tools. I know it's a we remain busy, I remain busy, and you also are busy at times. So it's not every silly doubt that we can ask and everything that I can reply. So in that case, you can definitely refer, but keep in mind, if this is the rules, if they are written here, if they are particularly referring to them, please, you can blindly follow them. Rest of things I do not adequately, let's say, recommend, because it maybe 80% of them are right, but maybe unfortunately what are the 20% that you are looking is nobody has any idea. So just keep in mind, just keep it as a caveat that I should trust. I can just refer to not only trust Google, but Cambridge and Grammarly, that can give me a formal writing instance and the rule. A grammar game, Grammar Ninja, I'm sure that you would have heard of. It's both on iOS as well as on the Android. It's available. It's a very good game. Believe me, it might seem kiddish, but it's available on the iOS as well as on Play Store. So you can download this. This is something that is very good, and you can follow. So it's a lot of practice that you need to put in. So wherever you practice, I think two sources from my end also I can recommend is, if you can just look at the some aptitude websites like www.indiabix.com. Okay, and surf to verbal ability, and surf to I think error detection or sentence correction. Really good. They have threads where people submit their answers and say that, okay, why is this wrong? It could have been this also. What is wrong with this? And then some faculties have answered. It's an open forum. Some people have quoted ChatGPT and saying this is this, and they quoted. So very interesting, very engaging. So you can practice this. Also, I can also recommend one other one, which is tcyonline.com. It has grammar tests on topics. For example, you want to brush up your prepositions. I think we have prepositions ka free tests. So this is something that you can refer to. Again, I'm not endorsing this. Please remember, I'm not endorsing this. I am not recommending, but yeah, this is a good tool for which you can practice. Okay, so that's all from my side in this video. Next class, I'm going to start with the building blocks of the subject, object, predicate, phrases, clauses, what are the difference, what are the similarities that you should know upon, subjects and objects, how many types of subjects are there, can we have a compounded subject, what are different types of subject, what is the subject phrase, object phrase, and so on and so forth, indirect objects, and so on and so forth. What is the difference between phrase and clause, similarities between phrases and clauses, determiners and modifiers is something that I'm going to start with in the next blog, in the next lesson. So please watch it. I hope that is all from my side in this video. I hope you will watch the series from the beginning to the end and will find some value to it. You have any doubts, please let me know. Tag me at abhipalash at your PRC group. I'm there, so you can just tag me in the group, or you can just DM me, whichever way you feel like it's convenient enough. uh, do the follow. So I hope you will watch these sessions, find certain value that I've put up in this from my experience and from all the analysis of the exams. So all the very best for your exam. Thank you. See you in the next video.